for being selfish and insensitive to my sister's sentiments. They would remark things like, "Susan is sensitive and requires additional support. You're stronger, so you must compromise." When I acquired my first smartphone at 16, which I paid for my tutoring money, Susan demanded it because hers was outdated, despite the fact that it was only 6 months old. My folks made me swap phones with her. There were numerous occurrences like this. Susan would physically assault me if she didn't get her way. She once pushed me down the stairs when I refused to allow her to use my laptop for a social media broadcast. I sprained my ankle, but my parents did not take me to the hospital. Instead, they instructed me to remain in my room and not provoke Susan further. Another time, Mom slapped me in the face at a family gathering because I was getting more compliments on my academic achievements. My parents called me aside and chastised me for showing off and making Susan unhappy. The emotional assault was far more severe than the physical. Susan would frequently tell me that I was unwanted and that our parents had me solely to give her a sibling. She made fun of my appearance, circulated rumors about me at school, and even ruined my friendships. When I was 15, I had my first boyfriend. Susan claimed I was cheating on him. I wasn't, and even showed him modified screenshots of phony chats. He broke up with me, and when I confronted Susan, she simply laughed. Our parents? They say I should never have begun dating since it made Susan lonely. Throughout all of this, I learned to keep my head down and concentrate on my schoolwork. My dream of financial independence kept me going during the toughest moments. I stopped expecting support or validation from my family. I even intended to move out as soon as I started earning money, hoping to finally be free of this toxic environment. I immersed myself in schoolwork and extracurricular activities, doing everything I could to avoid being at home. During college, I believed things would improve because I was living in the dorms, but Susan would frequently drop up unexpectedly, demand money or clothes, and throw fits if I refused. My parents would call and chastise me for neglecting my sister, despite the fact that she was meant to be the older sibling. They even tried to force me to quit out after Susan failed her classes for the second time, stating that it was unfair for me to complete my education while she couldn't. But yesterday, everything came to a head. Susan and our parents stormed into my room 1 hour before I was supposed to try on my dress for final changes. She demanded that I dress for her next job interview. When I declined, she screamed about how I was arrogant for having a job before her, how I was purposefully attempting to make her appear bad, and how I'd always been a selfish, attention-seeking brat. Our parents, obviously, supported her. "Your sister needs this more than you," Mom remarked, using the guilt-tripping tone I've come to despise. "She has interviews scheduled, and this garment would greatly increase her confidence. You can wear something else to the celebration. Why are you always so difficult?" I tried to explain how important this event was to my career, how I had saved for months to buy the outfit, and how this was my last chance to make a good first impression at my new job. But Dad cut me off, his face flushed with rage. "Stop being so difficult," he snapped. "You understand how difficult this time has been for Susan. Why do you always have to make it about yourself? Can't you think about your sister's emotions for once?" What is the worst part? Susan had previously returned her own beautiful dress, purchased by our parents for $2,000, and used the money to buy makeup and a new iPhone cover. She didn't even have any actual interviews arranged. She only wanted my dress because it was mine. Later, I overheard her on the phone with a friend, joking about how she was going to take care of her sister's attitude issues. What distinguishes this situation from prior ones is that my grandmother, 71F, expects images from the welcome celebration. She's always been more sensible than my parents, but living in another state means she's not as familiar with our family dynamics. She explicitly requested that I send her images of my clothing, expressing her pride that I had landed such a good position right out of college. She even considered framing the photo for her homeroom. I am currently locked in my room, trying to figure out what to do. My hands are trembling while I type this. My sister is still having a fit outside, yelling that I am ruining her life and that she will make me regret being born. I can hear her hammering on my door and threatening to smash it down. My parents are texting me to stop being selfish and to think about family harmony. They're threatening to ground me, yes, at 22, and confiscate my phone if I don't cooperate. Should I just give in again to maintain the peace? I am aware that if I do not comply, they may physically compel me to hand over the dress, or Susan may trash it out of spite, as she has done with my belongings in the past. But I'm so tired of being the family's scapegoat. This welcoming celebration meant the world to me. It's my first step toward independence, a chance to begin establishing a life free of their destructive influence. I can't help but worry if telling my grandmother the truth about what's going on will make a difference. She's always been nice to me, But my parents have taught me that contacting relatives would bring shame to the family and that no one would believe me anyhow. They have spent years telling me that their treatment is normal and that I am to blame for not being more flexible. I am lost and unsure what to do. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Am I irrational in wanting to keep my own outfit, which I purchased with my own money? How do I approach this scenario without causing further controversy, but also without giving up something that is really important to me? I feel like I'm having a panic attack just thinking about approaching them. The welcoming celebration is tomorrow evening, so I have to make a decision fast. I've worked so hard to get here, and it's upsetting that my accomplishment is being overshadowed by my sister's demands and my parents' supporting conduct. The idea of showing up in something inappropriate and perhaps harming my professional reputation is worrisome. But so is the prospect of another violent encounter with Susan. Thank you for reading this far. I've never told anyone the whole amount of what goes on in our family, so writing it all down seems both terrifying and liberating. I keep second-guessing myself, wondering if I'm overreacting or if I'm insane for believing this isn't typical. Right now, any advice or assistance would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who left positive comments on my first post. A lot has transpired in the past 24 hours, and everything has altered. Yesterday, after I posted, my grandmother called to inquire about the welcome celebration and pictures. When I started making excuses, she realized something was wrong. She insisted on bringing me up for lunch today, claiming to require assistance with grocery shopping. My parents couldn't turn her down without raising suspicions. At a quiet cafe away from home, my grandma held my hands and whispered, "Now, tell me everything." Her gentle tone smashed through all of my barricades. For the first time, I revealed the entire truth about our family dynamics. I told her how Susan ruined my school projects, shredded my college prep books, and bleached my prom outfit. I revealed years of secrets that I had kept buried out of fear and shame. My grandma listened without interrupting, but I could see her hands trembling in rage. When I concluded, she confessed that she and other relatives had suspected difficulties for years but had been unable to prove them because my parents always presented a perfect family picture at gatherings. Right there at the cafe, Mother began calling family members, including my aunts, uncles, and family acquaintances. As she made these calls, my phone started vibrating nonstop with texts from my family. My mother sent more anxious texts. "How can you tell lies about our family after everything we've done for you? You're making your sister cry again." Susan's communications began with a guilt trip. "I cannot believe you would do this to me. You know how sensitive I am." They swiftly moved to threats. "You better tell Grandma you lied, or I'll make you regret it. Remember your prom dress? This will be worse." Dad joined in. "Your mother is having a breakdown because of you. Come home right now and mend the mess you've made." But this time, their threats had a different effect on me. Each message proved what I had told my granny. While they were making these threats, my grandma showed me scores of encouraging texts from family members who were finally realizing the truth. The family has responded overwhelmingly. My aunt apologized for believing Susan's falsehoods about how cruel I was to her. My uncle promised to help me find an apartment close to my workplace. Another aunt recommended therapy and even offered to cover the fees. My grandmother made it clear that she will not allow them to scare me longer. She contacted her lawyer and purchased me a new outfit for the welcome celebration, which is now safely stored at my aunt's house. Even family friends have begun to share their observations of Susan's troubling behavior at gatherings, including a child psychologist who had observed warning flags years ago. I am writing this from my aunt's place. My parents are still sending me texts threatening to cut me off financially, which is immaterial because I support myself, and telling everyone what a bad daughter I am. Susan's latest threat was to ruin my job, but it no longer scares me. For the first time, I am not facing their assault alone. Tomorrow, I'll go to the welcome reception in my new dress, with my aunt driving me there for safety. My grandma instructed me to chronicle everything from now on, including Susan's threats. Thank you, Reddit, for letting me see that what I've normalized isn't typical at all. I'll post another update when I can. Update 2. I never anticipated things to escalate so soon following my last update. I'm writing this from my grandmother's house, with a broken nose and confused feelings about what's transpired. The day following my welcome celebration, my grandmother surprised me with a new MacBook for work. She had it transported to my aunt's place first, knowing Susan's track record with my belongings. When I returned home to pack some clothing, I assumed my parents and Susan would be gone. I was mistaken. Susan waited in my room. She'd learned about the laptop via social media, where my cousin had posted a congratulations message about my new job and mentioned the gift. What occurred next still seems strange. "So you're taking bribes from Grandma now?" Susan sat on my bed, browsing through her phone, her voice strangely